a good GM that can bring some adults in the room that can, bring more of the operational aspect to the team was always a good move for us. And it freed us up to do different things, buy other businesses, get involved in different things. And, whether it's fun, family, hobbies, or whatnot. Like at my stage, it's family. Like, I got my daughters are still, preteen and teenagers. And it's like, I only got X amount of more summers left with them. So
you're probably the same place I am with that. Yeah. When I was national director, I resigned because I was traveling so much. My 6-year-old told me he hoped I got fired. And I was like, oh, we probably need to be home more. That's a wake-up call. Yeah, I was like, we probably need to be home more.
Representing Franchise Secrets, Eric Von Horn.
Hey, Tim, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Well, you're a podcaster. You have more podcasts than I have. So this better be good. I'm looking for some good storytelling, some good dirt and franchising. And what'd you say? You have like 800-ish episodes out?
Yeah, approaching 9. It's usually the microphone. Usually I get on a Zoom call and somebody immediately has microphone envy and they're like, what are you doing?
That's good.
Like, I talk to myself a lot. That's what I do.
Well, I get, hundreds, maybe thousands of emails of people wanting to be on the podcast from groups that are, hired to get people on podcasts. And when yours came through, like, I'm always saying no. And then I'm like, oh, this is a very interesting story with a brand that I bet some people probably don't even know is franchise. And then you own like a ton of them. So I was like, oh, I'd love to have Tim on the podcast to talk shop and franchising. So why don't you give the audience a bit of your history in franchising?
Yeah, so I've been a franchisee for 21 years this January. Got into with B&I specifically. Got into that earlier on as a member. My parents got involved as members a couple years before me. They tripped into it. My father had started supporting him. We have a role called the director for the franchisee. Went to his first conference. They told him he learned how it was supposed to run in the region. He wasn't doing anything like that. So he came home and told the franchisee at the time, hey, I quit. And that guy's response was, well, why don't you just buy it from me? And so he did. So that's how we ended up with the first one. And I was a member. I fell in love with the brand, fell in love with what we were doing. So left what I was doing full-time to do B&I full-time as a manager at first, and then partnered in, like I said, 21 years ago. And so we started with one small one in New Hampshire, and it's scaled out. And now we own 7 across northern New England and the southeast in Florida. And now recently, like I was telling you off air, my wife is now involved in dry bar franchises. So we're a multi-unit owner for dry bar as well on top of that.
So you're multi-brand, multi-unit, learning the retail side of things, and probably appreciating things on the B&I side that, doesn't have all the moving parts that any type of retail concept does. Give me the business model for B&I, because I know it I've never been a member. I know it from the outside looking in, but give us either the consumer model or the business model. Like, what does the consumer see? And then what's the actual business model behind it?
Yeah, sure. So from a consumer standpoint, it's a membership-based organization. So we run very dedicated, focused networking groups where they would join and with an exclusive seat. So we only have one person per profession, and they're designed around creating a truly dedicated support team around you with tangible results that are tracked. So we track everything with apps, we track activity, track results, all that. So it's a higher level commitment of networking than, say, your social networking atmosphere like a chamber after hours. On our side, as franchisees, we collect those memberships, and then we use that to support the chapters. We have multi-levels of management that help support the chapters as collectively, make sure they have all the systems they need, make sure they're running the right program, they have leadership teams in place, all that. Then individually with coaching, like how do you actually network effectively within this model? So we do that with coaching, training, live trainings, online trainings, some other networking events we'll do. those kind of things. And then just like in any other franchise, from those memberships we collect, we pay royalties to our franchisor, which would be
So,
BNI Global.
how many of these do you have around the country?
How many franchises are there?
BNI, yeah. How many BNI chapters or locations? Whatever you call them.
Yeah, so chapters in the U.S., I think we're getting around 3,600-ish. Don't quote me exactly. It's in the mid 3,000s of chapters. Is over 75,000 members nationally. Is over 350,000 members globally. So it's in 71 different countries or 70 plus different countries. They're always adding, so I can't keep up. But so it is a global brand. We were talking to you. I've been fortunate to travel the world for BNI, which is really interesting.
So how many do you own?
I own chapters. Yeah, so I own 7 franchises, and they're territories. So unlike Dry Bar, which is like in an 8-mile radius, we're talking somewhere. Some like New Hampshire is one of the entire state. So I own 7, 3 in the north, so 2 in Massachusetts, all of New Hampshire, and then 4 down in Florida. We have 176 chapters, about 4,300 members that I oversee.
So are you the largest one or one of the largest ones in BNI?
We're the number 1 in the U.S. I think we're number 5 in the world. Yeah.
So what does your team look like to support all of that? Like, what's your, who reports to you, who reports to them? Give me the kind of the structure.
Yeah. So we've just really had to build this out as we've expanded. We went from 3 to 7 just in the last couple months. So we have a full-time general manager who oversees day-to-day ops. That allows my role to be more strategic, doing the podcast, doing the trainings. Under that, we have a regional director of operations. We have a director of training who oversees the training across all of ours. And then we have an operations manager who oversees the back office. Under the regional director of ops, we have full-time managers in each franchise. Some of them have 2, depending on the size and how many chapters we have. And then we have a full-time market development manager in every region who helps us start new chapters, get those people who are locked out into those. We have 2 full-time office staff, and the director of training has a training team below him in each region.
So you don't have it's not a huge staff.
No, full-time salary is about 20 people. Yeah. And then we have an army of volunteers that are in the chapters that are directors who want to help lead and give back to other members, teach them what they've learned. But
so I'm guessing that's part of the model. Like, you get these ambassadors, these people that love the brand, it's been good to them, and they're not paid necessarily. They might get some like membership fees taken off or whatnot, but like, it's kind of like free labor. Is that the right way to look at it?
I would say labor side.
I would look at it. Not how they look at it.
Our core values, the number 1 core value in the philosophy of the whole company is givers gain. So these are people who are having tremendous success, want to help other people see the same thing. So they're the ones who will do a lot of the like one-to-ones in coaching. So if somebody's struggling with getting results, they'll get somebody who's doing something similar that's willing to say, hey, here's how I'm doing, or here's how you need to think about doing it, and offer that support kind of peer-to-peer. And we'll train them on certain things on how to be really effective in that. But yeah, they're giving back in the sense of, this is working really well for me. I want to see other people succeed. It gives them additional exposure for their business as well. So it doesn't, they're building their business through that visibility.
So how have things changed over the past maybe 5 years or 10 years with networking, with just in general? Like, has the business model changed, and do you see it changing as we're kind of in this AI age now? And is this like, I would imagine this is not AI proof. I'm guessing there's things that the corporate office is doing or you're doing as franchisees that are kind of leaning more and more into technology. But like, is AI a threat to this business, and how has it changed or evolved?
Yeah, so I don't really see AI as too much of a threat. It'll be a value add in terms of tech and making things efficient with we're a big tech company in terms of the apps and the way they pass referrals and stuff. So I was actually the U.S. national director during COVID. And one of the things we had to do during COVID, we were all live meetings. That had to stop, right? So we introduced the ability to use Zoom and moved every chapter online. And I thought that maybe that would be like the next thing, right? Like, everybody's just want to do it, but they're going to want to do it online for convenience and efficiencies. Most came back. Most actually were like, hey, yeah, we could. It's not the same feel. We need the face-to-face. We need to press parts of the flesh a little bit, need to shake the hands, hard to build a relationship through cameras. So we still have some chapters that use Zoom. They might do a hybrid model where some meetings are online, some are live. There's a few chapters that are still completely online, but what we're seeing is the networking side hasn't changed, because what we really focus on is the relationship part, right? And what I have found over the years is most of our members really love what they do, whatever their product or service is. A huge majority of them hate selling. They don't like prospecting and lead chasing and cold calling and all that. And we're kind of the solution to that. But to do it, you got to be kind of face to face. So even as AI comes in, it might be able to help you get a lead list a lot quicker and come up with an email campaign a lot quicker. But it can't build a relationship for them that really gets the high quality referral we're looking for. So you still have that sales element to the process that I think most people are uncomfortable with or don't like. So I think there's always going to be a need for BNI. We've seen it continue to grow. So even with the introduction of online tools, the membership is continuing to grow, and most are pushing, hey, we want to be live. We want to meet face to face.
How often do they meet?
Weekly.
And for an hour, half an hour?
Hour and a half. So it's scheduled, same day, same time, same location.
It's a big commitment.
Yeah, it is a big commitment.
But it's like they look at it as an ROI, right? They're looking at that because they're literally the other people in their group are literally referring them people all the time. Is that
Correct.
accurate?
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, globally, last 12 months, they've done over $14-15 billion in take-home business through that. In our regions, we're averaging around a 65-100% ROI on their membership. So it's the type of business that they really want to be doing. So we talk a lot about like why referrals are important. And it's not just that it gets more business, but it makes your business more efficient, effective, and more fun ultimately to do.
Referral. Like educate all the business owners, the franchisees, and the franchisors on referrals. Like if you had to do, a 5-minute class on referrals, what would you say?
So referrals are the most desired way people have wanted to do business since the start of time. It's the oldest way of doing business, but I think it's the most important. We are heavily in a reputation economy, right? So it's what are other people saying about your business, those kind of things. And so when you get a high quality referrals, which we talk about, but most people interchange the word lead with a referral. Lead's like a cold call with a name to blame behind it. We're talking like, hey, Eric, you have this need. I know this guy. He can help you. You want me to have him call you? You say yes. That's the type of referral we're generating. So people desire them. The problem with networking is it's paradoxical in the sense that we all know we need to do it. So everybody assumes they know how to do it, and nobody's ever really trained on it. So two greatest myths out there are that people who know you, like you, and trust you will pass you good, consistent referrals, which just simply isn't true. And doing a good job and taking care of your customers will equal more referrals, which also isn't true. So we try to educate people on like, how do they actually work, right? How do you actually get consistent referrals from people? And again, it's on a foundation of a relationship, usually a business relationship first, reciprocal relationship. I want to help you, you want to help me. And then you have to educate people on how to actually do those things. So both those take time. You got to take time to develop the relationship. You got to take time to teach people what you're actually looking for, what you're not looking for, which is why we meet weekly, because the only way to decrease the timeline is spend more time with each other. So that's what we focus on, is training people on how it happens. What are the myths? Why are they the myths? And putting those success teams together.
So what does a good BNI member do when they go to the local chamber mixer that everybody else doesn't do that they should be doing?
So two parts. One, they go in with the right focus. Most people, when they go to like a chamber, they say they're networking. They're not. They're prospecting, right? They're going in like they're hoping to get a deal, hoping to get a sale or something. So they use a lot of language like, have you ever, did you know, have you considered, I can help you with, if you need this, and which is just directly selling to people. In a group where everybody else is trying to sell to you and they don't want to buy your stuff, so it becomes highly ineffective. So we teach them on, because you should be doing multiple types of networking. BNI is just one facet. We teach them more on like, what's your end goal? The end goal of those is to meet somebody new that you want to develop a deeper relationship with and set up the next meeting to do that. So whether that's at a BNI meeting or not, you want to be memorable. So we teach them on go in with questions. This will be my trick for anybody who goes to a chamber meeting. The best you want to be remembered. Best way to be remembered is have a deep conversation where the other person talks more. Everybody remembers good conversations. They did the talking. So before that event, think of 2 to 3 questions you would want to be asked. because you know it would help you stand out. It'd be a meaningful conversation. Things like, what led you into the business you're in today? Where's your passion for your product come from? Who's your best client and why? Type of questions. Go in, think about what you'd want, think about your answer, and then you simply just go and ask those questions. Because 99% of the people there are not prepared for the moment. They don't know what to do. Nobody's ever taught them what to do. So you go and ask a question that nobody else is asking. You're going to stand out. And then their natural reaction is to go, well, how about you? And now you're getting asked the questions you want. And it starts that relationship building process. So it's going with the right mindset. It's not about getting the deal. It's about starting that relationship and going with a plan to be remembered after.
What do you think about referral fees? Do members pay referral fees to other members? What do you think about if they don't? What do you think about referral fees in general?
So they don't. Typically in BNI, they don't. We're all there for the same reason, right? So it's the purpose is to help each other. So you don't need to pay for that. That's why we're here. I'm not a big fan of them because what it does is it tends you to get more leads than you want, right? They call them referral fees, but what you're doing is incentivizing leads. You're incentivizing people to send you everything. And one of the things we do really well in BNI is teach them how to niche themselves. You might offer 10 different services, but if you don't really love 8 of them and you love 2 of them, use BNI to build your business in the 2 you want. When you start doing referral fees, you're going to inundate yourself with the other 8, and they're not even going to be great. And you're going to spend a lot of money for things you could get cheaper online. I would tell people if that's your entire approach, then I would be probably investing in an AI tool to get a leads list.
All right. You have something with your calendar. I think it's called the 1-to-1 method or something with your calendar that I was doing a little research on. Explain that to me.
Yeah. So in the meeting, you'll be in a group of 30, 40, up to, some of these chapters get into hundreds of people, and you got a minute at a time to talk. So the real way you teach people and build that relationships in a 1-to-1. So outside of that meeting, they'll schedule a 1-to-1 meeting with another member where they'll go into deeper understanding of what are you really looking for? Who are you? Because again, a referral to the quality we talk about requires a high level of trust. Basically, the way to think of it is if somebody's going to refer you to their friend, family, or client, they're trusting you with their reputation, which is probably the thing we guard the most. So you got to earn that. You got to earn that trust. Just because you join a BNI chapter even doesn't mean like, oh, you're here. Here's all my best clients. Like, I still got to get to know you and trust you. So that one-on-one time allows them to develop that. So it's, again, usually shooting for at least doing 1 a week with another member to build that relationship and that understanding.
Most franchisees have had some, challenging times when they've either quit, should have quit, wanted to quit. I was talking to somebody today. He's like, Eric, he's like, can I get 5 minutes of your time? And he's a guy that I know. And he's like, I'm just about out of money. Like, I don't really have money to pay rent. How do I deal with the landlord? How do I deal with the franchisor? And, these are real conversations. And I've been there too. I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars on, getting involved with the wrong brand. And I made some decisions I wish I didn't at that time. And there was a time when everything was turning to gold for me. I just anything I touched just turned to gold. How has that been for you as you've kind of grown with one brand? I'm guessing there have been times, or there have been chapters or locations or territories that didn't work out like you thought they were, at least initially. Any insights there you can share?
Yeah, I mean, I tell people, like, we have a great operation model. Our challenge with BNI is we're a people business, so that could be extremely, like, we don't have a product that you can. It's people to people. So actually, I did that once I was at a meeting with members, and they said, "What's the hardest part of your business?" And I said, "You," because it's people. So there's been definitely, numerous cases. Not so much, luckily, with BNI where I've ever questioned the franchise or, hey, how do I operate it? Though when I was a national director, worked with a lot of franchisees who are smaller scales and helped them look at their business from different areas. But we've had chapters, many, that you put time and effort in that are going to close down and you can't stop it. And, or you've started mistakes. You knew like, this is probably not the best group to get going, but we do it. And then you realize like you were right all along, and that spent time I've had other franchises than the ones we've owned. I've sold a couple B&I franchises over the years as well that were just not strategically aligned with how our operations were going to run. So I went through a time period where I knew my team was spread too thin, but we weren't in a position to really scale the team. So it was like, all right, if I need more focus in this franchise, we're going to have to let that one go. And so we sold it strategically in that sense. Not because we couldn't make money on it, but it was a decision of like, in order to make the money or in order to really do it well, to make the changes, we had to decide, do we want to make that investment or do we want to take the resources we have and just better allocate them? And so we've went through that, which is now as we're expanding again, we've rebuilt our infrastructure to what I talked about earlier to allow us to be more effective across multiple units.
So I'm guessing as a leader, you're more visionary because most like franchisees are a bit more visionary, or at least those that have gone on to grow something of size like you have. Are you visionary? Are you operational? You like more integrator, more visionary, or a unique mix of both?
Well, it's a great question. I would define it as probably a unique mix, but it's adapted. So I would say more visionary now. And that was a learning curve from me. So, I mean, I literally started, when we started our first franchise, we had 90 members. So we were deep in it day to day. There wasn't a staff. This is what you're doing. Built that up that way. And then the operational side scaled to having some teams under it. Now it's more of that visionary strategic planning. So that's why I hired a GM. It's the first time we've ever had one of those to allow to free up that day-to-day management of team and stuff to be able to say, okay, where are we going? How are we going to get there? What's the right app? Both from an internal like strategy for growing membership and chapters, but also any future opportunities with the franchise as a whole.
So naturally more of an operational minded person, integrator versus visionary, but grown into that visionary role.
Yeah, it's been an adoption process. Yeah. My business degrees are in operations management. My background was in operations. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Although I heard an interesting definition about that. Somebody talked about the other day, entrepreneur versus self-employed. Started very much self-employed, which is you own a job, right? And I think a lot of people get stuck there to now being able to scale it to now forcing myself to spend more time being that visionary. Where are we going? How are we going to get there versus actually.
How long ago did you hire that GM?
2 months ago. It's a relatively
very new.
Yeah.
So what was how long have you been thinking about doing it? What was, when did you actually pull the trigger and, what was that process like?
Yeah. So it's great. So a year ago now, we only had 3 B&I franchises. Late in the fall, we had an opportunity to expand to 1. And then with B&I approached us and it really scaled up. We saw like, we can get 4 more here pretty quickly. So I started thinking about it probably midway through last year of like, okay, where do we go? If there's an opportunity to present, how would we capture what it would look like? I didn't come to the GM role right away, but it was starting that process. When the opportunity came and it looked like we were going to rapidly expand is when I started re-listening to some books from the past. So I re-listened to Good to Great, which I'm a big fan of. And I started really realizing like, we're really good. We're nowhere near great. And part of that was because I was a cog in that wheel. I think being a franchisee with one brand for 21 years also brings some challenges. There's some complacency factors to it. There's some comfort factors to it. There's some, stuck in your own ways, or you can't see where the opportunities might be in certain things in the day-to-day just because you've been doing it a certain way for so long. So re-listening to that book over Christmas break was kind of eye-opening. Like, okay, we're not nearly as great as we could be. I wouldn't even define ourselves as nearly as good as we should be. And so that's when I started thinking about that role, started really researching that role. Was it a CEO role? Was it a general manager role? And then had a really unique opportunity to bring in somebody who's far more experienced in the business world than I was, and kind of stars aligned. So we took advantage of it.
What do you mean far more experienced?
High corporate experience, very successful, twice retired, yet still young. Global experience in operations that was going to be able to bring a new set of perspective that I didn't have, right? I have tremendous experience in B&I and now with dry bar and franchising. But to come in from the outside of that with, hey, this is how things have worked globally and big sales and all that, running great teams, that was an opportunity that we would have had to spend a lot of time finding that we kind of just had at our fingertips. And so we decided to
Sounds
jump
expensive.
It is. It's an investment. There's no doubt about it. No question. But I do look at it now. It's a leap of faith. There's a level, I think that's where a lot of us get stuck. I think we probably could have done it a year ago, but maybe we weren't thinking that way. But part of that change for me is saying, okay, but what does it free up to do? Or where's the improvements? Where's that ROI come from just in improvements? And now, we scaled pretty quick, but now that we have this role in place, I can go, I think we could actually potentially scale more, right? So where I didn't see that 6 months ago, it was like, how are we going to do the ones we're adding? To now it's like, this actually gives us an opportunity to even go further. So
was there fear? 100%. Yeah. So what you were saying is, I framed it as an expense. I said, it's expensive. And you're like, yeah, it's expensive, but it's an investment. And that's how I would see it too. And I think that's how most people should see it. If you're making a strategic hire like that, you should be looking at that as an investment. One, frees you up to work on higher value activities that are more valuable for you to be working on at the stage that you're in. And then hopefully like that person can start to move the needle on some things, whether it's higher retention, new business, higher fees, or whatever those things are. Like there should be an ROI just on them coming in. Maybe it's employee turnover. It could be all kinds of different things. Whatever those KPIs are, like that person that you're bringing in and paying a lot of money for, that's an investment, and you should be looking at it like that. Was there any fear of giving up control?
I was fortunate to have a very good relationship with the person already, so a little bit less. In fact, I think I've also hit a point where I was kind of looking forward to that a little bit, because I did on that reflection part realize like I'm the problem. It wasn't so much that the team wasn't doing things, and this is, already on the ROI from him coming in and seeing things, you're like, do you have this? Do you have that? And you're like, no, we don't. We should have. It's probably a good idea kind of stuff. But I could realize like, I'm holding people back out of my own either comfort or whatever. So I think I kind of looked forward to it a little bit. I kind of was looking forward to seeing where this could really go if I wasn't holding the reins a little bit.
This is interesting because, I love the honesty. And if everyone was honest, we would have the same realization. I am the problem. And you said that a couple different times, or the bottleneck, or whatever you want to call it. So give me some examples, or dive a little bit deeper into you as a problem. Where were you holding things back, holding people back, holding the company back? What were some of the realizations?
Yeah, so part of it was digging deeper into the information we had to find, I looked at opportunity as we can grow these chapters, we can grow the membership count, we can do that. And there's so many data points to be that's a great thing. But I kind of lost the focus or passion maybe to dig into like, okay, where can we really make some incremental changes that scale up? That was part of it. Part of it was, again, I would always have the, hey, I'm everywhere, I'm super busy, that's a great idea, I don't have time for it. And kind of push it off, or put it again. We've been fortunate. We won Franchisee of the Year for BNI globally last year. We've won a ton of awards year after year. I literally had to change. I can show you my camera, but on the other side, I have a big award case, and because I moved my office and I was staring at it, I was like, that can't work. So right over here, I have a sign that says nobody cares, work harder, because I realized like the awards were the justification for not doing any more. Like, we're really good. Look at all the awards we're getting, right? We're finishing number 1. So there was no drive to go deeper. So that, again, that reflection of the good to great was like, yeah, we're really good, but we could be so much better. And I'm probably the one holding us back from it because I've gotten comfortable being really good.
So I love this because obviously you've built something great. You have the awards, and there are people listening that don't have all of that, and yet they are the one holding the business back, or whatever. Like, talk to that person. Like, if you are coaching somebody and you know that, or you have a sense that they are the bottleneck, they are holding people back, they are ready for somebody else to come in so they can focus on a different role in the business, what would you say to that franchisee or that leader?
I would start with the question that I had to start with. Yeah, I'd start with the question that I had, which is, where do you want it to really go? Right. And where would you, with using that book as the example, how would you describe yourself right now? So if the idea is I want to take this to the next level, I got my whole vision of where I wanted to go from a business valuation and all that really amplified. I started, I think the new opportunities that weren't available to us that opened up was a trigger for me to be like, oh, there's so much more that this could be. But I had to ask myself, like, okay, but to get there, what are we missing right now? How would you describe yourself first? And I would say we were really good. Okay, I believe there's so many different aspects to this. It's like, where's your passion now? And that changes over time. Did for me, from where my passion was from when I first started in B&I to where my passion is now in my role. The passion behind the brand is the same, but my passion for what I can add has changed. And I think I lost a lot of the passion for the day-to-day management because I've been doing it for 2 decades. And it's natural of like, I don't want to do that part anymore because I've been doing it for so long. But it was an excuse and holding me back from doing more I wanted to, or I would do less of what I wanted to because I would always have that excuse. So it would be, where do you want to go? How can the company get there? What is your passion in that journey? And what can you give up to feed that? Right. And so for me, it was, I had to give up the day to day, which needed to be stronger to go where we can go. I needed somebody who can come in with a new set of eyes and a new passion for that part of it to really jolt that piece. And it's already happening, which is amazing to see. And maybe that's why I have less fear of giving up, because it was so immediate of like, oh, wow, this is going to be really good. And I already had that trust level to now I can do things like the podcast or the travel to the regions and do, big meetings and events and those things that I had the passion for.
Was it hard to put value in the meetings and the podcasts and the, talking to other people versus like having the value of being in the business? Because I know some people, like, they don't put as much value on those other things that they're good at, whether it's networking, relationship building, casting vision, or whatnot, because they're so used to being in the weeds. They see the weeds as the value versus the outside strategic type, just even time for thinking. So was that like, what do you think about that in general?
100%. It's difficult because there's no like, hey, if I do this podcast, revenue does this, or hey, if I go to this meeting, revenue does this. Or one of the things I'm excited about is at our level, and now with these operations, I can get more involved with like the national organization on committees and have influence. But there's no direct like, well, if I have this influence, my revenue does X, Y, Z. No. So for many years that was hard. There was also, I always had the part too where it was like, well, I could hire for this role or I could keep that money. That was a difficult thing, right? So even with this role, you're talking pretty significant salary and benefits. It was like, yeah, but I already have the regions. I could keep that revenue. So it was a little bit challenging to be like, that was where, yeah, but I'm going to invest it back. And this is what I expect out of it. So it was a little challenging. I've been fortunate to have been doing it for so long to build a foundation. I think that does provide a little bit more freedom and flexibility to that with the revenue level we're at, and to be able to make those investments a little bit more comfortable. I couldn't do that 10 years ago to the same level, but there's always that challenge of like, am I wasting my time? It's intrinsic value stuff. Like, I don't make a dime off the podcast. I don't do advertising. I don't do anything. So it's a little bit slower to see where those results are coming in until you go to the meeting and somebody says, oh my God, that thing you did was so helpful in this. And that's when you feel it. And that's where it comes back.
Yeah, it's the same with this podcast. All it costs is money for me to produce and time, and but then you go someplace and people are like, Eric, I get taps on the shoulders at IFA, and it never fails, but it's right. It's worth it. Attention, franchisors and franchisees, there are 2 really important resources that I want to share with you that will help you avoid costly mistakes and increase your enterprise value. The first is our free Facebook group. It's a community that has over 4,000 franchisees and franchisors in it. When somebody asks a question, they get honest and authentic answers from multiple perspectives. You can join the group for free over at franchisesecrets.com/Facebook. The second resource I want to share with you is if you're a franchisee and you want to be around a community of successful Zs and other brands and in other industries, this is why I created the Franchisee Mastermind. If you want access to the best single and multi-unit owners to know what they're doing,
or if you want to be around other multi-brand owners, then you'll want to check out my franchisee mastermind. The reason why people join is they want access to my Rolodex, my connections, to each other. They want a shortcut success, both short-term and long-term. Links will be in the show notes or at scalablefranchise.com.
So did you have somebody or a group of people or advisors or friends that, you were able to talk through some of this? Like, hey, I'm thinking about hiring this GM. Maybe it was your wife, but who did you go to? What were those conversations like, and how valuable were they?
Yeah, so we have, the good thing with BNI has been around so long. I do have a couple really close peers to bounce ideas off who are, similar in size, similar in length. I have a really good executive director on Arizona, is probably one of my best friends in life. We grew up in the organization together. Both our fathers were first ones in, kind of thing. With the GM role, it was more internal, just with my wife listening to me rant. I don't think it was so much of a, well, have you ever? It was just more she's going to sit there and listen to me bounce the idea off myself, almost in that sense, like talk out loud. That is a little bit of a challenge when, our size compared to a lot of my peers is different. So I am playing a little bit of a different game. It's been very fulfilling because I can give back in that sense and talk to new EDs or smaller regions because we were there. But there's been a couple peers, a couple family members that have had business success to bounce ideas off of. But it's a lot of just reflection. It's the sitting back and like challenging and thinking about and throwing an idea out to somebody to see the reaction and taking that in more than I've had a deep conversation with somebody about, tell me why this is a good idea or a bad idea. Just kind of throw it out there and kind of believe in it a little bit.
So this had to have been a challenge. So you have this organization where, certain people reported to you and, because they had to report to somebody, at the top, yep. And it was you. I don't know if it was one person or five people or everybody reported to you. Now there's somebody else in the mix. Like how is that? Because that has to be at least a thought, a concern until it actually plays out.
Yeah, I think definitely a challenge for the team, right? It's a change. We've had a couple amazing team members who've been with me for a decade. Very fundamental change for them, right? It was them to me, and now it's them to somebody else. I think we're still dealing with that a little bit, not in a negative way, just in like a comfort, new culture kind of systems way. Freeing for me, to be completely honest. That's been one of the benefits is, again, not because I don't love talking to them. In fact, what I've done is I wasn't spending enough time with my team members one-on-one outside of like, hey, we're going to have a management meeting and talk about your numbers, but to like, hey, how's things going? What's going on in life? So now it's freed me up. I'm spending more time with my team members than I did before, but with a different perspective and a different approach. Like, what's going on in your life? What's going on? Like, how can I help? Like, try to motivate them more with the other one who can now have the direct, what's the numbers? What's this kind of report? But it's been a change. And then it's the starting to teach people how to fish instead of, giving them the fish kind of thing. That's the change of it. Like, that's a great question. That now goes to so-and-so kind of thing. But luckily, BNI is a high passion brand, which is great. And our team is highly passionate about it. So everybody kind of adopted because they could see the vision. When we were before I hired the GM role, I was very clear with all of them. Before I even knew I was hiring the GM role, I was very clear with all of them, like, hey, we're about to play a different game. And so things are going to change for all of us. So, and I don't even know what that means exactly yet, but I'm telling you things are going to change for all of us. And so when those changes came, I think there was more reception because they didn't know what was coming, but they knew something was coming. So.
Did you have some of your key people interview the new GM before they were hired?
I didn't, actually, funny enough. It was more of a internal reflection on the role that we needed. And then again, very fortunate that our GM was somebody that I knew and had a relationship with, longstanding. And so it was more of I actually had discussed the need for the role with them as an advisor first. And then it became very clear, like, well, you're the one that I need. So I didn't have them do that, but there was some familiarity with who he was just because of the closeness of the relationship and everything for forever. So it wasn't totally new. And because we've expanded so much, a lot of our team members are new to our team as well. We've actually tripled our team in the last month, new hires. So for a lot of people, it wasn't a change. It was just those few that had been with us for so long that it was kind of a.
So just in life in general, have you picked up new hobbies, spend time on hobbies that you already have, take more vacations, more fun travel, longer travel when you go someplace for work, are able to stay longer? Like, what has changed from a lifestyle standpoint since you hired that GM?
So I would tell you, because it's only been 2 months, not much yet. I'm looking forward to that part. I'm looking forward to that part greatly. I have a lot of travel coming up. So what will be, I think, fun to see both mix of B&I stuff. I'm going to South Africa, I think I told you, and some fun stuff to be able to not have to be worried about the day to day. So like I live in New England, so it's cold and you go to your office anyways right now because there's nothing else to do. Golf hasn't started yet. So we'll see how those play out. But I'm looking forward to it. And I believe that will open up that freedom of like, hey, if I'm going to be gone for a week, I'm not in my email every day worried about stuff during that time. So not there yet. We'll get there.
I mean, we've been at a point as a franchisee where we've hired GMs, key people, and it was a game changer. And every time I've done it, it was a game changer for me or my business partners personally, and for the staff eventually, because like we were holding things back, we were holding the business back, and we're so visionary. Me and my business partners, we would always be aware of that. So like you get somebody that's operational in there that can actually manage better than we can, as like very high DI on the disc profile and very much visionary. A good GM that can bring some adults in the room that can, bring more of the operational aspect to the team was always a good move for us. And it freed us up to do different things, buy other businesses, get involved in different things. And, whether it's fun, family, hobbies or whatnot. Like at my stage, it's family. Like, I got my daughters are still, preteen and teenagers. And it's like, I only got X amount of more summers left with them. So
you're probably the same place I am with that. Yeah. When I was national director, I resigned because I was traveling so much. My 6-year-old told me he hoped I got fired. And I was like, oh, we probably need to be home more. That's a wake-up call. Yeah. I was like, we probably need to be home more. I would tell you, I believe in it so much. We didn't even talk about, but with the dry bar side that my wife's doing, I'm partnered with others. We just opened 3 stores in 2 years. These are not like moneymakers yet. Like you're in the building phase. We hired one. I was like, you need to hire one of these right now, even though it's an investment before you're taking money out. Like it will change everything for us. And so we're implementing it so much earlier, even in that journey, because I've seen it already and what it can do.
So I love that. You hired, like you could have had the P&L could have looked different
100%.
First year, second year, third year, but you chose to hire that GM from day one. So the P&L is not going to look as great. The cash flow is not going to be as great, but from a lifestyle standpoint or just pure management standpoint, that was the right move for you. Just explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, so we've rapidly opened those 3 units, 2 of them, like I said, the last 5 months. The first one, it's fine. Owners are involved day to day, but it takes, and when you're going through that process, that's an intensive process of build outs and finance and hiring and all that kind of stuff. It was pulling from the lifestyle of my wife and her partner, and you could see it. And then the amount of like day-to-day ops in a storefront location like those are, and, part-time staff and full-time staff, and it's very different. It just became very apparent to me, even just from the short time of having a general manager. I was like, we call it a different role. It's a district manager, but same kind of thing. Is like, you need somebody who can step in now and do those things. So you can focus on the part that you really love about this again, and the marketing side and building it. It's like, let's make the upfront investment in it and backfill that revenue with your time that you can do it, than just the chaos and stress and all that stuff that's happening. Trying to run 3 of these the way they were. So yeah, I don't know that we would have jumped at that the same way had I not already taken the leap in B&I a couple months ago, but I firmly believe it's going to be the best thing they've ever done. And she just started like 2 weeks ago. Like it just happened.
That new DM, did they have experience in retail like that, like a retail type business like that before, or they knew? They did.
Yeah, they had some management experience in a gym franchise and stuff like that. So different product, but similar model, membership models, part-time employees, filling, you know,
See, that's it.
scheduling
You look
alone
at
can take hours and hours, of your time, that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
you look at that aspect of it. Does like you look at like what you really need. Like if you're looking at hiring a district operational manager or a district manager or a GM, like you look at like really what do they need? What skill set do they need? And where else could they have received that same skill set? Like for you, and like in a lot of our brands at Front Street, they're whether they're some of our brands are beauty brands similar to like or like what you have at Dry Bar, but good managers can come from gyms, other beauty brands, other types of retail like that. Whether you're dealing with memberships or high ticket sales or whatever it is, those are the things that you look for when you're hiring that district manager. Did you like go through a normal process, like put an ad out there and then eventually interview a bunch of people, narrow it down to 3 people and then hire one of them, or was that more personal relationships as well?
So it was a blend. Actually, funny enough, we were going down that process of posting and starting to line up some candidates and interviews. And then it was a personal recommendation from the gym owner, from a previous employee who was looking for something else. And so it kind of shot her up to the front of the line. And then it just was like a natural, big believer in, things happen for a reason, timing's everything. So super excited about how it ended up working out. But we were going down that process. Same questions we would have asked everybody else. She just had the background, had a tie to the community with the relationships that were already there. And so a big comfort level and trust level a little bit out of the gate too, kind of similar to mine. That added trust level was a big deal for me because it is a big leap of faith. So if you already have it, it's awesome. I do think some people might make the mistake of hiring somebody they know because they trust them without the experience, which would be a problem. But when you can get the blend, I mean, there's, the holy grail. So.
Well, some people would be like, oh, he got lucky. Well, he got lucky because he was talking to advisors about what to do and thinking through how to do it. He got lucky because he was actually going through a process of hiring people, and the right one came through because he was going through that process, or that, your team was. So like I think this is going to be very helpful because a lot of people that I talk to, franchisees in the mastermind, even franchisors that are looking to hire higher level people, I think this brings a lot of perspective to them. So, man, this was great. I can tell you've done a podcast or 2 or 800-ish. So appreciate you coming on the show, and thanks for giving back to the franchise community.
No, I really appreciate the opportunity. Love the show. Like I said, I found it because of this, but I've been enjoying it. So keep up the great work. Yours is more fun with the interview. I talk to myself a lot on mine, so this is way better. Way more fun.
It's so much better.
Yeah.
I did a solo show the other day and I'm like, I am talking way too much. I love to ask questions. I'm very curious by nature. And so when I have to do a solo show, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am talking way too much. I try to keep those at 20 minutes, but these are more fun. So hope to run into you at one of these industry events sometime.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Franchise Secrets podcast. Links to everything can be found over at franchisesecrets.com. And if you want my help with anything from starting your own franchise to growing your current franchise business, please visit scalablefranchise.com.